And I'm James Gunn, and my sidekick, Christian Cano, partner with Gunn, is coming up next.
Hey everyone, I'm Jim's sidekick. Welcome to Two Queers in a Truck. Hi y'all.
See you soon. Good morning, everybody. It is Two Queers in a Truck time. Woohoo! And it has been a minute. We've been on a hiatus for different reasons, for mostly personal reasons. And of course, the month of May, you have the Mother's Day and the accoutrement that comes with that. And Christian and myself have been going through some positive personal changes, and I'm not going to talk about it. That's
Good way of putting it.
But with that comes a lot of distractions, a lot of work, and if you follow us on the Book of the Face, you'll know why. And if you don't follow us, it really doesn't matter. But it is Christian, and I'm going through a little bit of a name change and a little bit of identity change, and a lot of y'all, if y'all have listened to the show and our sister show, the Coffee Show, you know me as Jenny James Gunn. For the last deal. Now that I'm with my forever wife, my forever spouse, one of the personal changes I've made, that I'll take legal steps to now that we've moved, is that you can still call me Jenny and all that. And in fact, this will be segment number one, is I will be going, my name and my social media is already changed to Gersemi, Gersemi. For those of you that are listening at home, my middle name will be America, which is my wife's Puerto Rican last name, and then still Gunn, Gunn, as you guys have known me. But those names signify something strong in our relationship, and it's one of the reasons. But I wanted to be public about it. Yeah, everybody that's meeting me now that we live in California will know me as that. And on my social media, it's completely changed on Instagram and on Facebook. It's not a big deal if you cross streams and still call me Jenny, because most of y'all have known me for the better part of a decade as Jenny Gunn, and it's not like it's dead naming me or anything. I still will answer to that. Actually, if you call me for dinner, I'll answer to anything, especially if you feed me. But other than that, people will notice that, and especially if I'm tagging things in Facebook with the shows, it's now going to show Gersemi instead of Jenny. So it's the same person. More or less the same person, but I am married, and I'm not on the open market anymore. So you can take me off y'all's list. If you can still have me as but you'll have to love me from a distance. As you can look but don't touch, and you can't afford the price anyway. It's been an extraordinary ride, and I've been with my wife, Air. You may be able to know her as Laura Americo, and I'm going to talk about her more later in the second section of the show, or second full section, which is the third and fourth segments on something she wrote last month that I wanted to talk about in some detail and why she wrote it. But she is the love of my lifetimes, and to honor her, and honestly, I get away with so much white privilege. I get away with so much being an older white presenting woman that, I mean, I fight my own identity crises because of my gender queerness, but I still have the white privilege. I still have the white privilege. I still have the height, the strength, the intestinal fortitude of a rhino. And so I'm not a delicate shrinking flower. I may cry as I choke you out. And one of the reasons I chose my middle name to be Americo, not only to match her when she changes her name completely across the board like I am, is also to honor her Puerto Rican heritage, and to have a name that denotes my allyship by marrying into a family like that. But also, it'll never change my status because my skin's my skin. But sometimes you have to take really concrete steps to really show your allegiance, and especially to somebody that I love so much dearly, and to a community, the Hispanic Latinx community, that not only do I do a show with a Latinx name, but also have broadcast for 8 seasons on Coffee and Pan Dulce with my show partner that's also of Latinx heritage, a Tejano, and growing up in San Antonio as well, and growing up in the mothership of Tex-Mex food, and the culture that I very much love, the people that I very much love, to marry somebody of Mexican and Puerto Rican heritage.
You got a good combination.
She's a hell of a combination, and it's all in good fun, but she
Yeah.
is very bougie, speaks multiple languages, and is very beautiful. But when they are beautiful, they usually are high maintenance, and she is, and she'll be the first to admit it. But the extraordinary thing is showing that allyship, that saying, hey, if you're going to come for her, you're coming for me. And now I'm going to show you an action step, which is putting my name where my talk is. And, you when you marry into a family that has an ethnicity that gets openly targeted, like the Hispanic Latinx community. And I've seen it in Charlotte when I was living in Charlotte, and Christian and I would go to events, and they'd look past me, somebody that did not grow up in Charlotte, that's only been there a few years, and they'll just assume because I'm white, I'm from North Carolina, and because I have a Texas accent and a drawl a little bit, and look at him and go, "Where are you from?" And and Christian's been in Charlotte way longer than I was, and it's extraordinary that people do that, and it's because of racism. It's because they look at him and can't believe in his mind, their minds, and their racist, bigoted minds. And well, this is even Democrats. I saw this in Democrats. I saw this in people that are supposed to be progressive, but not all Democrats are progressive. A lot of them are liberals or moderates, and some are down low conservatives. And I saw it. I saw it firsthand, and it's really one of the things that precipitated us moving to LA, and more specifically West Hollywood, which is the other big announcement to start off this show. And a month of change since the last time that we recorded shows, which we were on the road actually coming here when we recorded the last set of shows. Us living in LA, West Hollywood. So now I'm broadcasting live from Hollywood.
Yeah.
So Holly Weird.
We should say that live from Hollywood.
Yeah, I probably will in the next recording, but I
Exactly.
want to let the cat out of the bag on this one, so that our fans aren't freaked out, because they normally know that I'm normally in North Carolina. In fact, all
Exactly.
I've recorded exclusively from Charlotte, North Carolina, and so it's one of the things but yeah, my wife facing, because she is visibly a Latina, and people assume that because she's got kind of an olive browner skin, she's either Moroccan or sometimes I guess Middle Eastern, or not a lot of people guess actually that she's Puerto Rican and Mexican. She has very, very beautiful features, but they have a tough time, and because of how she speaks and how many languages she speaks, and it confuses them, because for some reason that must be more important than who she is. But anyway, we live in this era of MAGAs worried about so much weird stuff. It's fucking weird, and it's so un-American. And it's one of the reasons we moved west. I'll be honest. California is a better place for a couple like us. The West Coast is 1,000 times more progressive than even New York City. New York City is not really that progressive. They like to keep electing Republican and Republican-like mayors, including the problematic Democrat they got right now. Charlotte's not really any better for us. Both either as women or as trans people. It's Charlotte's the second most dangerous city in the United States for trans women. It's got the second highest murder rate of trans women. Even though it'd be really tough to kill me because I'm built like a tank. My wife is not. She's got a very slight build and very delicate, and is a very peace-loving person. Not that she can't handle her own based on her background, but why tempt the fates? And
Exactly.
And also too, it's just fun out here. Let me tell you, we went to one movie theater. It was in the middle of the Universal Studios, and it was on the Universal Studios City Walk, and it had these life-size King Kongs, and it really is like, and especially the part of town we're in, it's very over the top. It's very, if you've never been to California, but especially if you haven't been to LA, and more importantly, like the Hollywood area, the Hollywood Hills, it is everything you'd think it would be. It's very over the top. It's very, it's very Hollywood. It's you're literally, like one of the first places we ate in West Hollywood. This has been several weeks ago. They're actually filming a TV show called Vanderpump Rules. We had to sign a release if we wanted to be put on the air, and so we may be in the background of one of the next season's episodes. Obviously we're not on the show, but just that's the kind of life you live when you live in this area. Is there's filming going on. There's over the top restaurants, and the shopping centers aren't normal strip malls. There's like water features, and it's like living in an amusement park. Is the best way to describe where we live. And it feels like it on a daily basis. I'm waiting for them to install a roller coaster right on our street. But that is the end of that segment. For some reason, I didn't set the timer, and we'll be back after these commercial messages. Hey, everybody! You can catch us on your favorite audio podcast platform, Spotify, and all Apple Store, the Google machine, and whoever else does podcasts. We're on there. We broke in, and we're staying. So enjoy the Two Queers in the Truck on your favorite audio podcast platform. Thanks for listening or watching. Bye-bye. Happy Pride. Hey, everyone. Hey, thanks for listening for Two Queers in the Truck. And got an exciting new show coming on this year for our Canis Media listeners, which is basically the Coffee and the Two Queers show, including the one you're listening right now. We have a new one called Esperaz Gay. And it's with our exciting young host that we've had as a guest host in the previous years, named Urente. And he's really going to talk about the focus on young Latino and Hispanic community issues and challenges that come with being young and being Hispanic in America. And honestly, there's a lot of interesting topics. And of course, he has a perspective of a Gen Z person, which is way different than Christian and I. We're on the opposite end of life. But it's fun. It's fascinating. I know he's always been a great guest. I look forward to listening to his shows in 2025, as should you. I think it's going to be a special treat. It's like the Guns and Knives shows. We have guns and we have men. So anyway, listen to our family of the shows. We start dropping on Wednesdays at about 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning. And we keep on dropping the shows until they're all dropped like Easter eggs.
Drop.
It is weird, though, that the Easter Bunny doesn't lay eggs. But anyway, I hope y'all check out Urente's new show, as is many of our other great new shows in 2025, plus our old standbys. And we'll rock out 2025. Thanks for listening, as always.
Bye, y'all. Bye, boo.
Bye, boo. And we are back. I wanted to talk about Laura's article. She wrote something for LGBTQ Nation last month for Mother's Day, and it was about I am a transgender mother, even though she did an interview one trans male for the article. And I don't really want to go into the article itself so much, is to talk about the topic of it, because our community is so under fire. So she wrote it under the name, as her new name, Air Americo Gunn. And she mentioned me in the article in a hypothetical, because down the road we would like to adopt kids. We would love to have babies of our own as a married couple. And she talks about the dream and all that. But for so many transgender people, being a parent is hard. Being trans in the United States right now in this day and age is tough. There's just no way around it. The MAGAs have made it tough. But even being a parent's even tougher, because there's been so much hair on fire issues and created and manufactured, just like with the Latinx Hispanic community has gone through so much. And families being separated. Trans families have also, they've tried to separate trans families too. In Texas alone, they're going after families and trying to take trans kids away and saying it's child abuse to let them transition, or even go see a therapist to even see if they're okay, and they're conflating transitional medicine and medications that non-trans kids take all the time, that regular adults that aren't trans take these medications too. And so hormones aren't something that's just for trans people. In fact, I've got lots of non-trans friends and loved ones that are on hormones for different reasons, whether it is the change of life for cis women and their ovaries aren't working anymore and they're not putting estrogen out and they need to go on estrogen, and some women have to go on testosterone. There's a lot of hormones that you have to go on in life, and HRT, or hormone replacement therapy, is so common. If people remember, Suzanne Summers from Three's Company had been on hormones and HRT the last 40 years of her life. The majority of her life, she was on hormones, like way before menopause. In fact, a drug company developed one that was an implant that would last 3 to 6 months, mainly because of her. She was the big celebrity endorser of it. She was one of the first users of it, and it was developed by a lab out west. And she was one of the first patients, and was a spokesperson for this company until the day she died. And it's funny how weirded out people are that trans people take it, because it changes our appearance somewhat, and some of us more than others, but it's weird because we go through different stages of life, and as part of the article is the hopes and the dreams of people that maybe are parents and trans or would like to have kids. And she interviewed three people. One of them is Danielle Skidmore, which I know from Austin, Texas, and has ran for office and is an extraordinary trans woman that has a special needs son. And has really gone through it. Another one is Alexa, that is a transgender woman living in Lexington, North Carolina, and a trans man that lives in Sacramento, California, that is a friend of mine that used to live in Charlotte, North Carolina. And they have really gone through it in different ways and adjusting to different norms, and it's not easy. It's one of those things that it is really, really tough. In fact, Case Old Knight that was the trans man said, hey, they're never going to have a baby themselves because of the HRT and the things they go through as a trans man. But she said, she made the joke, and I'll save this for air when she was to say it, but it was a funny line. Or if you want to go read it yourself, you're more than welcome to. There it is on LGBT Nation under the live section, or if you just look up AIR, EIR, America, Gunn. But the title of the deal, it's under the families heading on LGBT Nation. I am a transgender mother. Will the world ever see me just as a mother? And it came out May 23rd, 2025, and it's an extraordinary article. And my very talented wife wrote it and authored it. And, so I'm going to promote the wifey. She did a great job. I was very proud of her when it came out. She worked her ass off to do it. And it's really hard for transgender women to get work as a writer. And she does a lot of gig works as writing. And she's done some extraordinary work. And I'm always proud of her when she does stuff like that because she's been through so much in her life. She's a veteran, a disabled veteran, and she's gone through a lot in life. And, and I'm happy to affirm her. And she's beautiful and amazing. And my light in life. And supports me. And so, I'm sorry for the dead air, folks. It's a lot. It's a lot because she's amazing. And there's so many amazing people in the LGBT community, and obviously my best friend for life, Christian, we're family, and we've broadcasted forever, it seems like.
Feels like forever.
It feels like forever. Some days it feels like forever, depending on the guest or what we're getting into or what's going on or how we're getting targeted by MAGAs. There's so many beautiful and amazing people in our community that are under fire in such a chicken shit way. And I think what burns my ass, two things burn my ass about this. One, that you're targeting people because of who they love or who they want to be, and they're not hurting anybody. And the second thing is how Democrats just sidestep the whole trans issue and how they failed the transgender community. And as a registered Democrat, and as somebody that votes blue, because obviously I can't vote red ever. I'd rather be dead than vote red. It's one of the things that I've been it's one of the reasons I did a big pullback from politics as far as being involved with groups and boards and stuff and doing political work, because quite frankly, I'm underwhelmed by the Democrat Party. And I expect the Republicans to be assholes. I don't expect the Democrats to be lazy and apathetic. And it's truly been disappointing. And I know on the next show for sure, I want to talk about on the 18th. I want to talk about the apathy that you see with the Democrats and some Republicans that said, "Oh, I didn't vote for this," and I'm going, "Well, no, horseshit, you did." And you brought this to our doorstep again. Once was bad enough, twice is idiocy. And I don't really want to dedicate this part of the show to politics because I really want to talk more about the transgender community and the beautiful article that my wife wrote. But dang it, leave transgender people and LGBT people alone. Is it now they are going to target marriage equality, which I said, when they get done with the transgender community, when they stomp the last bits of body autonomy that trans people get, which they're pretty close to doing, they're coming for the rest of the rainbow next. And they are. They're openly targeting. There's been several lesbians that were masculine presenting but are not trans that have been attacked. There's so many states that are trying to pass even the strictest of rules and take a butch lesbian from behind that has a short haircut. When she walks into the women's restroom, if they're tall or got any kind of a boxy male-looking body from behind or wear more masculine clothes because they choose to, which is not a crime or it shouldn't be a crime. I mean, pesky little amendments like free speech, and they're not doing anything wrong. I mean, if we got to put up with those red hats of MAGA and their red, white, and blue onesies, we sure as shit can allow a spectrum of clothing. I can't even believe we have to talk about this in the United States. But we'll talk more about that right after these important messages. Hey, y'all, this is Jetty with Two Queers in a Truck and Christian's along with me. And we're just having fun, and we're looking forward to the 2025 season and super excited. We have some neat things going on in our whole family of shows, including Coffee and Pan Dulce, and many new shows that are brewing. Get it. And we are excited for 2025 and all the chicanery and other things that comes with it. So happy New Year, and we'll see you on the flip side. Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all. Bye, boo.
Bye, boo. Hey, y'all. Thanks for listening to Two Queers in a Truck. And we do broadcast on YouTube and Facebook in a video version. And we're also on all the audio platforms out there. So your favorite way to listen to your podcast. We've been doing this for a couple years, and we appreciate y'all listening. We know you have a ton of choices, even though we may be the best choice. We always appreciate our listeners, and we'll try to bring you quality in the future. Thanks for listening. As always, Christian and Jenny, we're out. Thank y'all. Hey, everyone. Thanks for watching the Two Queers in the Truck Show 2025 edition. We have a new special show that is coming on as part of the Canis Media family of shows, and it's the Tony Foreman Show. And they're going to talk about a little bit different things than we typically talk about on the coffee show or the queer show that we often reference. And it's going to be a little bit more of a serious show, a little bit more talking about very specific issues amongst Latin, Afro, Latino men and Hispanic men. Tony Foreman is the Afro-Latino, and then I'm assuming that Christian's going to be on the show as well, which is a Latino male, a Tejano, and they're going to talk about things that are probably important to their generations, to what's going on in pop culture and where they fit in the world. And I guess that's always the existential question: why am I here? But anyway, if you want to know why you're here and you whether you fit in that demographic or not, it should be interesting. I know Tony and Christian will keep it light and funny, and probably a little bit of silliness in there too, to boot. I'm looking forward to listening to it myself and not having to actually produce a show all the time. But please tune in at 10 o'clock on Wednesday mornings when that show drops, and enjoy more shows from the Canis Media family in 2025. Thank y'all. And we are back. But now people are individually going after, and we've seen several gay men murdered in the last few weeks. The violence towards gay men, we saw it in San Antonio just recently, this last week. A gay man slayed that was the voice of I'm blanking on his name from King of the Hill, Daniel Redcorn or something like that. Or Joseph Redcorn, or the character on the reoccurring character on King of the Hill, the animated TV series. Openly gay man slayed in Austin. I think Austin or San Antonio. I think it's San Antonio.
Jonathan Joss.
Yeah, Jonathan Joss.
Mhm.
He played Daniel Redcorn on the King of the
Yep.
Hill, whatever the Redcorn. Jonathan Joss was murdered because he was gay, and they're trying to make it. And it was a horrific way that he died too. Like it was obvious. Police are trying to spin it as not a hate crime because then the FBI gets involved and it becomes federal, and they don't want to do that. And then the local police don't have to declare it a hate crime, even if it is a hate crime. And it's clearly a hate crime. He was targeted and executed in a horrific way. And one of the reasons that I'm talking about this is the spillover when the Democrats chose to not fight the fight at all for transgender people, and they never fought the fight. They surrendered pretty much everything, even in North Carolina, and when they allowed the compromise bill, all they did was compromise human rights. And when you fall back on human rights, you end up with things like Nazi Germany, Italy's Mussolini, America's dumpster. You end up with MAGAs and Nazis and fascists in charge because, well, they're not going to stop. We have to stop them. That's kind of how that works. When fascists move on and they roll the tanks and they start taking them, they're not going to go, oh my gosh, somebody wrote an article about us, we're scared. No. They know that they're being effective if they're being talked about. They don't care if they're described as fascists. Pointing out what they're doing is not enough. And in this last election, people chose to be misogynist and racist and not vote for a woman of color. 18 million Democrats chose to stay home. The 18 million Democrats that sat out of this last election, that's who elected Trump, not the Trump voters. The 18 million Democrats that laid at home, laid up. If even half of those people would have voted, she would have won in a landslide. But guess what? Democrats have voted Trump, elected Trump. And that's a harsh reality. And the reason I go back to it is there's so many conversations where I didn't vote for this, I didn't vote for that. And I'm like, no, you did. You did. And a lot of Republicans are seeing the consequences to family members, to loved ones, to friends. People are moving to different parts of the country because of all this. It was not a number one factor why we moved, but moving to the way more progressive, more protective, more inclusive California was a choice, and some of it did have to do with political changes on the East Coast. And who we are, what we face. You just flat out, we're just tired of the bullshit. And we could see the tea leaves of change, and it was time. And it was something we were going to do anyway, but we just sped up the timetable because, quite frankly, putting up with all the BS was not worth it. Running a business in Charlotte, North Carolina was not worth it. And people were problematic in many different ways. And thank you to the people that supported us, including Christian, that was very supportive of everything that we did. And has been so supportive of my wife and I over the years. But Christian's a rarity. I can tell you, even in the LGBT community, there's a lot of people that don't step up. And not that, we expect you to financially support, but just support us in general with friendship and love and, and shout outs and things like that and hugs and just saying, hey, we love you, and just everything. We don't even, as transgender women, we don't even get a lot of that from the LGBT community, but especially in Charlotte. Charlotte is very problematic towards trans people. And now that we don't live there, I'm going to put Charlotte more on blast and pull back the curtain on some shit. And really, really talk about problematic Democrats there and who should not be involved with politics anymore. Hopefully for the betterment of the party. North Carolina Democrats are weaker than puppy pee. Most North Carolina Democrats could go to Novant and get a spine donation. It is pathetic. But North Carolina Democrats are a joke. And it's why Republicans run roughshod. It's why some Democrats become Republicans. Honestly, I look back at it now, and what's her face that jumped ship and became a Republican? I kind of don't blame her now. Republicans are the winners. Republicans go into this wanting to win. Democrats, I don't know what the fuck they're doing. And I'm a Democrat. I'm a registered Democrat. And I don't get it. And in more Republican fuckery, old Hegseth, or however he's Hedgeseth, the former Fox News now, I guess he's qualified to run the DOD, orders the Navy to rename a ship honoring. And this is Pride Month, by the way, too. It's June 11th, so we're in the middle of International Pride Month. In fact, we're already, if you've seen the show, we're already a couple weeks in. In fact, West Hollywood just had Pride here in real time just a few days ago, but by the time you see the show, it'll have been almost 11 days. Wanting to rename a ship, which the Navy almost never does, that was named after Harvey Milk, civil rights leader and political candidate in the greater San Francisco area, and a groundbreaking candidate at that. He ran for mayor in San Francisco, and they wanted to honor him, and they did. They named the ship after him. I think in 2021 is when they named this ship after him. And an extraordinary move that doesn't normally happen. Hedgeseth orders the Navy to rename the ship. Whether the DOD will comply is another story. I'll be surprised if they do. They'll probably go tell them to jump in the lake. And I hope they do. It's purely politically motivated. There's no other reason. First of all, the Navy is the gay branch of the armed services. It's there's more homosexuals in the Navy than any other branch. And so naming a ship after Harvey Milk, it's not a big stretch. The Village People did start sing about being in the Navy. I mean, come on. There's no question. The old, one of my friends that used to be a Navy Seavey, he used to make the submarine joke. 150 men go down and 75 couples rise back up 6 months later, and I just, especially for Pride Month, it's undoubtedly why this order came down, because the Republicans don't want rainbow flags flying. They don't want any fun of any kind, and they are going to pick fights with the LGBT community. And also a big fuck you to everybody that was LGBT that voted for a Republican the last 9 years. You especially have a special place. If I did believe in hell, you have a special place there, because what a shitbag you are. If you're Black, Latinx, LGBT, and you voted for a Republican in the last 9 years, you're a moron. Just gonna say. I don't believe that y'all deserve to be targeted, but if you do get targeted, you brought it on yourselves. Voting for these morons that want to rename ships because of a slain gay political and human rights leader, that was an extraordinary man, especially in the times he was alive. Is this as stupid as the most? Like, don't you have bigger fish to fry? Don't you have like 5 divisions of the military plus the Coast Guard to run? Isn't there more important things to do than worry about a fucking ship that's already been named and has already been commissioned for years?
Yeah.
But what else do you like? What is your job exactly besides naming fucking ships? Is it just that important that you're so worried that a gay man's name that's been dead for damn near 50 years, I believe, if my math is right? Who gives a shit? Don't call it that. Then call it by its number or a call sign or whatever it is. Don't sit there and be so worried about Harvey Milk's name on the side of a ship. If you're that worried about it, just when you see the communiques come from that ship, just ignore them like you do your other jobs. But anyway, that is all we have for this edition of Two Queers in the Truck. And we are glad to be back and broadcasting on our sister channels as well. So we have a lot of good stuff coming out there. You'll see some commercials about it. But as always, thanks for listening and thanks for watching. And we'll see you next week. Y'all be safe out there. Bye, y'all.
Babu.
Bye, boo.